That morning started like any other in my Denver apartment. I had just poured myself a fresh cup of coffee getting ready for another day as a software developer. Life had been stable for 2.5 years since I cut all ties with my past. Then the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, the last person I ever expected to see was standing there. She was holding a child maybe 18 months old. She looked at me and said, "Leland, we need to talk. This is your responsibility." Before I get into what happened next, let me know where you are watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below. If you have not already, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you will want to stick around for this one. What happened next made me realize that some people never change, they just get more desperate. Let me take you back to where it all began. 3 years ago, I was living in Austin, Texas. I had a good job at a tech startup, working long hours but building something I believed in. My life was simple, focused, and honestly a little lonely. That changed when I met Priscilla at a company networking event one evening in late spring. She worked as a marketing coordinator at an agency just a few blocks from my office. The moment she walked into that crowded room, something shifted. She had light brown hair that fell just past her shoulders, and when she smiled, it felt like the whole room got brighter. She was 27 years old, smart, articulate, and had this way of making everyone around her feel like they were the most important person in the world. We started talking about nothing in particular, just the usual small talk about work and the tech scene in Austin. But there was something different about her. She listened. Really listened. Not like she was waiting for her turn to speak, but like she genuinely cared about what I had to say. By the end of the night, I had her number saved in my phone, and my heart was beating faster than it had in years. Our first date was at a small coffee shop on South Congress Avenue. We sat outside on a warm evening watching people walk by, talking about our dreams, our fears, our families. She came from a middle-class family in Dallas, had worked her way through college, and was determined to build a successful career on her own terms. I admired her ambition. I admired everything about her. The weeks that followed felt like something out of a movie. We would meet for lunch whenever our schedules allowed. We would take long walks along the river on weekends. We would spend hours on the phone at night, talking about everything and nothing. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had found someone I could build a future with. After 6 months of dating, we decided to move in together. We found a nice 2-bedroom apartment on the east side of town. It was not fancy, but it was ours. I started putting money aside every month, saving up for an engagement ring. I was certain she was the one. But looking back now, there were signs I chose to ignore. Priscilla traveled for work almost every other weekend. Client meetings, she would say. Industry conferences. Team retreats. I never questioned it. Why would I? I trusted her completely. There were also those late-night phone calls she would take in the other room, her voice hushed and hurried. Client emergencies, she explained. The marketing world never sleeps. I believed every word. I was blind because I wanted to be. I was in love, and love has a way of making you see only what you want to see. The truth came crashing down on a Friday night, about 14 months into our relationship. Priscilla had told me she was flying to Houston for a weekend conference. I had no reason to doubt her. That evening, a coworker invited me to watch a basketball game at a bar downtown. I almost said no, but something made me agree. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was just bad luck. Either way, that decision changed everything. The bar was crowded and loud, but I spotted a quiet corner where I could watch the game in peace. That is when I saw them. Priscilla and a man I did not recognize sitting at a small table tucked away in the back. They were not watching the game. They were not even talking much. His hand was resting on her waist, and as I watched frozen in place, he leaned in and kissed her. She kissed him back. I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. The noise of the bar faded away. My vision tunneled. All I could see was the woman I loved, The woman I was planning to marry wrapped in the arms of another man. I learned later that his name was Derek. He was 35 years old, a senior account executive at Priscilla's agency. He drove a BMW, wore expensive suits, and had a corner office with a view. He was also married with 2 kids. I did not make a scene that night. I could have walked over there, confronted them, caused a spectacle. But something held me back. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was pride. I just turned around, walked out of the bar, and drove home in silence. I sat in our dark apartment for hours waiting. Priscilla came home around 2 in the morning, full of apologies about her flight being delayed. She had no idea I had seen everything. I asked her directly about Derek. At first she denied it. She acted confused, even offended that I would accuse her of such a thing. But when I told her I had seen them together with my own eyes, her expression changed. The mask fell away and I saw something I had never seen before: defiance. She admitted everything. The affair had been going on for 8 months. She said Derek was going to leave his wife for her. She said they were in love. And then she said something that cut deeper than anything else. She blamed me. She said I was not ambitious enough, that my salary was not high enough, that I did not give her the life she deserved. She asked me to give her time to figure things out, as if I was supposed to just wait around while she decided which man she wanted. I did not argue. I did not beg. I did not cry. I just started packing my things that same night. I took only what I needed, left everything else behind. By morning I had blocked her number, deleted her from every social media platform, and submitted a transfer request to my company's Denver office. Within 2 weeks I was gone. I left Austin. Priscilla left that entire chapter of my life behind. I did not look back. The first 6 months in Denver were brutal. I did not know anyone in the city. I spent my evenings alone in a small studio apartment, eating takeout and staring at the walls. The pain of betrayal does not just disappear because you change your zip code. It follows you. It wakes you up at 3 in the morning. It whispers doubts in your ear when you are trying to focus on work. But slowly things started to change. I threw myself into my job, working longer hours, taking on extra projects, anything to keep my mind occupied. My managers noticed. After about a year, I was promoted to senior developer. The raise was not huge, but it was enough to put a down payment on a small condo near downtown Denver. It was nothing fancy, just 1 bedroom with a tiny balcony, but it was mine. I had earned it. I started building a social life again. There were guys from work who invited me to watch football on Sundays. There was a group at my gym who became regular workout partners. I even started going to yoga classes, something I never would have imagined doing back in Austin. That is where I met Harper. She was 30 years old, a graphic designer with short black hair and an energy that was impossible to ignore. She was funny, direct, and completely different from Priscilla in every way. We started as friends, grabbing coffee after class, talking about design and technology and life in general. After a few months, friendship turned into something more. We had been officially dating for about 3 months when that doorbell rang. By the time Priscilla showed up at my door, I had almost forgotten about her. Almost. Some wounds leave scars that never fully fade. But I had moved on. I had built a new life, a better life. I was happy. And then there she was, standing in my hallway with a child in her arms. She looked different. The woman I remembered had been confident, polished, always perfectly put together. The woman in front of me was a shadow of that person. Her clothes were wrinkled and worn. Her face was thin and tired, with dark circles under her eyes. She looked like she had not slept properly in months. I asked her how she found me. She said it was not hard. Social media, mutual acquaintances, a little bit of digging. People are easier to find than they think. The child in her arms was a boy, maybe 18 months old. He had light brown hair and big, curious eyes that looked around the hallway, taking in everything. He was innocent in all of this, just a baby who had no idea what was happening. Priscilla got straight to the point. She said the boy's name was Colton. She said he was my son. She said I needed to step up and take responsibility. I stood there for a moment processing her words. Then I did the math. 18 months old meant the child was conceived roughly 27 months ago. 27 months ago, I had already been living in Denver for 3 months. Priscilla and I had not seen each other, had not spoken, had not had any contact whatsoever during that time. The timeline made no sense. I pointed this out to her calmly. The numbers did not add up. There was no possible way I could be the father. Her expression flickered. For just a second, I saw panic in her eyes. Then the tears started flowing. She changed her story. Colton was not my biological son, she admitted. He was Derek's. But Derek had abandoned them. She had nowhere else to turn. I was the only good man she had ever known, and she needed my help. The full story came out in pieces. Derek had never intended to leave his wife. When Priscilla got pregnant, he cut off all contact. His wife found out about the affair and threatened to sue Priscilla for alienation of affection. The scandal spread through their professional circles. Priscilla lost her job. No other agency in Austin would hire her. Her family in Dallas had disowned her out of shame. She had been couch surfing for months, staying with anyone who would take her in, running out of options and out of time. And somehow after all of that, she had decided that I was the solution to her problems. I told Priscilla that I was sorry for what she was going through, but this was not my responsibility. The child was not mine. Our relationship ended 2.5 years ago. I had moved on and she needed to do the same. That is when everything escalated. Priscilla's demeanor changed in an instant. The tears stopped. Her voice got louder. She started making accusations saying I owed her because I had abandoned her without giving her a chance to explain. She said if I had stayed and fought for our relationship, she never would have gone to Derek in the first place. She called me a coward for running away instead of facing our problems. I stood my ground. I told her that she made her choices, and those choices had consequences. I was not going to be manipulated into cleaning up someone else's mess. That made her angrier. She started threatening me. She said she would tell everyone I had abandoned my child. She would post on social media and destroy my reputation. She would come to my office and make a scene in front of my co-workers and my boss. Throughout all of this, little Colton started crying. The yelling had frightened him. But Priscilla barely seemed to notice. She was too focused on her tirade, too consumed by her own desperation. In that moment, I realized something sad and important. She did not really care about this child. She cared about finding someone to carry her burden. The baby was just a tool, a means to an end. The commotion attracted attention. My neighbor Marcus, who lived in the apartment across the hall, opened his door to see what was happening. Marcus was a retired police officer, a big man in his early 60s with a calm presence that commanded respect. He asked if everything was okay, if I needed him to call the authorities. Priscilla turned her anger on him immediately. She told him to mind his own business. She threatened to sue him for harassment. She claimed she had every right to be there because she was talking to the father of her child. More doors started opening. Other neighbors peeked out, drawn by the noise. Priscilla suddenly realized she had an audience. Her strategy shifted instantly. The aggression melted away, replaced by tears and helplessness. She was just a single mother trying to get help for her baby, she cried. I was a heartless man who had thrown her away and refused to take responsibility. I knew I had to end this, and I knew exactly how to do it. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I had saved months ago. Bradley was a lawyer who worked with my company on contract issues. I had met him a few times during negotiations and kept his number in case I ever needed legal advice. This seemed like the right time. I put the call on speaker so Priscilla could hear. Bradley answered on the third ring. I explained the situation as clearly and calmly as I could. A woman I had not seen in over 2 years was at my door, claiming I was the father of her child despite impossible timing and threatening to defame me if I did not comply with her demands. Bradley asked Priscilla directly if she had any evidence, any documentation whatsoever proving that I was the child's father. DNA test results, hospital records, anything at all. She had nothing. She just stood there silent, her face pale. Bradley laid out the legal reality in plain terms. Making false claims about paternity was grounds for a defamation lawsuit. The threats she had made about destroying my reputation and showing up at my workplace constituted harassment. If she did not leave immediately and cease all contact, I would have every right to pursue a restraining order. He strongly advised her to walk away before she made her situation any worse. The fight drained out of Priscilla completely. She looked smaller, somehow deflated. She tried one last time to appeal to my emotions, saying she just wanted to talk, that she was desperate, that she did not know what else to do. I told her the truth. She needed to find Derek and hold him accountable. She needed to look into resources for single mothers. She needed to figure out her own path forward. But none of that involved me. It never had, and it never would. She gathered herself and the crying baby and turned to leave. But she could not resist one final shot. She looked back at me and said, "Colton deserved a real father, and I would regret turning my back on them." I looked her in the eyes and responded without hesitation. "Then go find his real father. That has never been me, and it never will be." I closed the door and did not look back. The next few days were busy with practical matters. Following Bradley's advice, I sent a formal cease and desist email to the address Priscilla had given me during her visit. I notified the building security about the incident and provided them with a description of her. I saved the footage from the hallway camera that had recorded the entire confrontation. If she ever tried anything again, I would be ready. A few nights later, I sat down with Harper and told her everything. The whole story, from meeting Priscilla in Austin to finding out about the affair to her showing up at my door. I held nothing back. I figured if this relationship was going to work, it had to be built on honesty. Harper listened without interrupting. When I finished, she did not judge me or ask why I had never mentioned any of this before. She just asked if I was okay. That simple question meant more to me than she probably realized. It told me everything I needed to know about the kind of person she was. About a week later, I got a message on Instagram from an account I did not recognize. It was Priscilla using a new profile since I had blocked her old one. The tone was completely different this time. No threats, no demands, just desperation. She apologized for how she had acted. She begged for help. She said she was running out of places to stay and did not know what to do. I did not respond. I blocked the account and moved on. Some doors need to stay closed. In the weeks that followed, I found myself thinking a lot about what had happened. Not just the confrontation at my door, but all of it. The relationship, the betrayal, the way I had handled things. I tried to understand what lessons I could take from the experience. Looking back at my time with Priscilla, I could see the red flags I had ignored. The constant work trips, the secretive phone calls, the way she sometimes made me feel like I was not quite good enough, not quite successful enough for her standards. I had excused all of it because I was in love. I had convinced myself that love meant accepting everything, never questioning, always trusting blindly. That was a mistake. I also thought about Derek and what became of him. He was still out there somewhere, probably still married. Probably still cheating. Men like him never face consequences because they are good at making other people absorb the damage. His wife might stay with him for the kids or for financial security. Priscilla bore the public shame while he remained untouched. It was not fair, but life rarely is. And then there was Colton, the innocent child caught in the middle of adult failures. I genuinely hoped Priscilla would find a way to give him a good life. Every child deserves stability and love. But I also knew that was not my responsibility. I did not create this situation. I was not obligated to fix it. Feeling sympathy for someone does not mean you have to sacrifice yourself for them. I thought about what it means to walk away. For a long time, I had wondered if leaving Austin the way I did was the right choice. Was it running away? Was it cowardly? But now I understood the truth. Sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. Staying in a toxic situation does not make you loyal. It makes you a willing participant in your own destruction. Knowing when to leave is a form of self-respect. A few mornings after the incident, I woke up early and made my usual cup of coffee. The sun was coming through the windows of my condo, casting warm light across the small living room. Harper was there sitting at my tiny kitchen table, laughing about something she had seen online. It was such an ordinary moment. Nothing special at all. And yet it felt like everything. I realized that this right here was what I had been working toward. Not wealth or status or some grand achievement. Just peace. Just the ability to start each day without dread, surrounded by people who actually cared about me. It had taken years and heartbreak and 1,000 small decisions to get here. But I had made it. The truth is, some people are going to come back into your life, not because they miss you, but because they need something from you. They will dress up their demands in the language of love, or obligation, or guilt. They will try to make you feel responsible for problems you did not cause. And you have to be strong enough to see through it. Priscilla did not come to my door because she wanted to reconnect or make amends. She came because I was her last option. She had burned every other bridge and thought I would be too kind or too weak to turn her away. She was wrong. You can be a good person and still have boundaries. You can feel compassion for someone and still refuse to let them use you. You can wish someone well from a distance while keeping your door firmly closed. That is what I learned from all of this. The greatest gift you can give yourself is permission to protect your own peace. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, just out of a clear understanding of your own worth and what you are willing to accept in your life. So if you are out there right now dealing with someone who keeps trying to drag you back into their chaos, I want you to know something. It is okay to say no. It is okay to walk away. It is okay to choose yourself. Some people come back into your life to remind you why they left in the first place. And sometimes the best thing you can do is keep that door closed. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had someone from your past show up unexpectedly trying to make you responsible for something that was never your fault? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and your experiences might help someone else who is going through something similar. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next story. I have so many more to share with you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for listening. I hope you carry this with you. You deserve peace. You deserve respect. And you deserve people in your life who add to your happiness instead of taking from it. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.